I am Mark Stewart Greenstein, speaking from just 5 miles away from where I grew up, West Hartford. I am a child of privilege. Let me define that. I was privileged to have an intact family throughout my days as a child, teenager, college student. Mom, dad, sister, I was big brother. No tremendous problems. That was blissful and almost unheard of today. Parents have it harder today. Kids have it harder today. And it is irrespective of earnings. There are much more pressures on people at every level of the spectrum. When I grew up in the 70s and early 80s, my father never made more in salary than $59,000 a year. But we lived comfortably on one income. You can't do that anymore in suburban America. The other things you can't do is two things that I can change as governor. You used to be able to walk a mile to school. Districts don't let you do that anymore. After school, parents permitted me and my friends to walk half a mile to Bishop's Corner, buy our baseball cards, walk back. Now, that's considered child neglect, and you could be sued. I believe in tort reform to put responsibility where it really lies, okay? In some neighborhoods, no, you can't do this. But don't play Connecticut down. It's a relatively safe state. Kidnappings are almost non-existent. In fact, pretty much the only kidnappings nationwide are somebody who knows the ex-wife or ex-girlfriend and is taking the kid for some sort of vendetta. Kidnappings among strangers, I don't know whether it's happened in Connecticut in the last decade. If it has, once. We can't be making law based on tiny, minuscule aberrations. We can't be fearful, as parents today are, of things that are almost certainly not going to happen, and our fear squelches our kids. We used to play kickball in the cul-de-sac, right? Now, somebody might charge 30 miles an hour with their vehicle into all these kids. Yeah, it's possible. It's so unlikely that we can't be legislating, and I don't think our insurance premium should be changed. And most importantly, I don't want to see schools and communities have to put release after release on parents for doing ordinary activities. Schools have had to cancel good enrichment trips. Parents have refrained from being chaperones lest they do something that's perceived as wrong and then gets sued. We can all have the privilege that I grew up with when we have a reform of our court system and have people not so fearful of doing ordinary things with ordinary care. Okay? Extreme negligence deserves to be punished, but not ordinary care. Care for kids should be situationally based. Most kids can walk a half mile from their home to the neighborhood store at age 10. But if you're the parent who has a restraining order against an ex-husband or has a clear problem that there may be a kidnapping risk because in your situation you have a disgruntled relative, okay, you do need a higher level of care. But let's not play to the drunkard. Let's not play to the miscreant for all of our kids who could be having a more wholesome upbringing. Now, what can a governor do? I do implore a second parent to be around. Now, how can that happen when somebody fled the household 20 years ago? That second parent might be grandma or grandpa. And I do encourage families to unite generation on top of generation. It's better for everyone. I wish I had my grandpa alive longer. He was wise. He was fun at times. And I had a very intact two-parent household. Those with only one parent or split households with two parents, they could use grandma or grandpa in much more occasions. The other thing, this is a governor who wants to see one parent able to stay home. And how can that happen? Cutting taxes. I do that with a plan to cut the Connecticut income tax to 0. Now that's only going to save you 6%. But the conscientious objector to the federal tax could save you 60 or maybe even 70% of your federal tax burden. You keep that much more money, one parent can stay home. You might not have to have a 2 working parent household when you have that much more take-home pay that you keep. Look into it, please. StewartForLiberty.com has my conscientious objector to the federal tax code. I will stand by it. I will negotiate with the Trump administration first. But even if they don't see it our way, Connecticut deserves better. We're going our own way. I'm Mark Stewart. Thank you for listening.